Makes me want another depression room.
Hey guys, welcome to Executive Espresso. We're so glad you're here today. I've got a nice cup of something tasty to drink. I encourage you to sit back for about the next 18, 19 minutes because we've got a special guest on today, as we do every Friday. Sheila Slick is going to join us. She has over 25 years actually, as a leadership strategist, a certified partner of Keap, and she is president of 5 Milestones LLC, and she is an expert in helping executives streamline their success, but also help them pay attention to the important things, like, oh, what might that be? Oh, yeah, mental health. And so we're going to talk today about the 5 milestones to leadership mastery, how you can lead with confidence. What's the difference in authenticity versus authority? You know, what's the real truth about leadership when it comes to that authenticity authority matrix? How can you optimize your systems, work sharper, achieve bigger? And Sheila's going to leave you with a great affirmation to take into the weekend. And Sheila, it is so great to see you here today. Thanks so much. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, good morning, Dr. Heath, and thank you so much for inviting me to your show. I've been listening and I absolutely love all of the episodes and what you're doing. So, a little bit about me. I've been a lifelong entrepreneur, it's in my blood, fourth generation, and married a soulmate that's also an entrepreneur. So, we were living in Dallas when, at the age of about in 1995, 30 years ago now, and we just moved overseas and started our first manufacturing company. Yeah, don't have that much courage, right? In this stage of life, I don't think. But that led to our first, co-founding our first company. And then I joined my mother and grandmother in the next decade in retail jewelry. And that was really rewarding because I learned a lot of family values, the culture, and I had two of the most incredible mentors in my life. But that's when the iPhone, this little gadget, well, it was actually the iPod Touch came out. And I thought that's the future. And I had always wanted a master's degree because when you're in business, sometimes, you either need a mentor, you need information. And I wanted more answers. And so that thirst, I thought earning a master's will help solve all of the questions I have. But I was a mother and with 3 kids. And so living overseas, coming back to school just wasn't something I could do. So when this gadget got invented, I thought if I can learn how to code, and I was about 36 years old, then I don't need a master's because there were online courses. And so Apple was streaming one course out in Stanford. And I thought, Stanford, Ivy League. If they can do it, I don't need that master's. And guess what? I did it. So I started uploading and selling all kinds of educational apps. I absolutely love math. And so I do the timetables, I do books. And before I knew it, I got invited to attend a hackathon for NASA. And I was like, what? By a local university. And I was like, a hackathon? Like, I'm not a hacker. I'm doing these cute games, educational games. And NASA, NASA that sends rockets to space. You think I'm some kind of genius? I can code something for NASA? And I left. And they were like, Sheila, we don't know anyone else in the country at this point that can, do this app. And so can you just take the information and think about it? Now it's just a hackathon, a volunteer project. And At dinner that night, I'm telling the kids and my husband, they really think I'm really smart. I can do this. And the kids said, "Mother, you've always told us you can't fail if you don't try, and you're not even trying." And I ended up in the hackathon, of course, with my children, and I reframed it as an opportunity to open up the computer and teach anyone that wanted to see how you build these apps, right? And so the app was in the App Store, and NASA picked out of about 7,400 participants their top ones to move on to the global nominations, and they picked
Wow.
ours for most inspiring. Now it's the global honorable mention, so we came in second place in that category. So now I'm in a third world country, and this happens, and it became like a sensation. And before I knew it, I had to form another company because I needed to do certain programs in STEM. I had companies looking to do apps, and I didn't have to sell. And so then that's when my third company was born. And fast forward to now, we did return back to the States about 5 years ago, no, 7 years ago in 2018, and brought over those clients. So I formed Five Milestones LLC because that's my next chapter. So anything that I do revolves around the number five. It's just my magic number. And that's where I'm at. Oh, well, I forgot to tie in the leadership because I think we have a little bit of the science in common. When I came back, I found the opportunity to go back to school. So, as a mother, as a business owner, I went back and earned a Master of Science in Leadership. And so that's what I tie in my entrepreneurship, my leadership, and my tech skills.
Goodness gracious, Sheila, what a story! What a story! And to work with your mother and grandmother in this, I mean, what a blessing. There are not too many people that get that opportunity. And then those that do get the opportunity, they seem not to be able to pull it off, because there's the whole, getting along and synergizing, and some people just can't get over that hurdle. Just really, really quick, how did you tackle working with family without becoming enemies to each other?
So remember, the first company was with my husband, and that was a bit more challenging because we couldn't separate the work from the home. And so those conversations would come into the house, so to speak. And that was a little bit difficult. With my mother and my grandmother being three generations, the way that we handled that, remember, it was a retail store, is we opened up four. And so we all managed our own stores as we grew the company. And what was so beautiful about that was that by having three different generations, we were catering to three different, markets and three different segments. So you could walk into this store and pretty much have something for everyone.
Wow, that is completely amazing. And again, my hat's off to you ladies for being able to pull that off. And I wanted to point out something. I put out a post yesterday, and I won't quote it. You guys can look it up. But I want you to realize that while a lot of people were out there making excuses, Sheila was out there making it happen. And so while you're thinking it can't be done and telling yourself, guys, all the reasons it can't be done, other people like Sheila are getting out there and making it happen. How amazing that is. Well, I wanted to launch into these 5 milestones to leadership mastery. Share with us a few of those milestones, if not all of them.
So before I share where this is going, I am focusing right now on what I'm calling self leadership, right? Because we talk a lot about leadership and we're talking about leading others. And I have led organizations as a volunteer, a chapter chair at SCORE. I have led, employees, companies. I've led teams, for example, in hackathon. And there's such a big difference, right, in the approaches. But what they have in common is that you first have to learn how to lead yourself in order to be able to lead others. And when we have these life transitions, it's really important to practice that self leadership because you're able to influence your own thinking, your own feelings, and your own actions. And if I break it down into 5 steps, it all starts with self-discovery, self-awareness, taking that time out of your everyday and setting aside, it could be once a month or it could be once a week or at least once a year, and really doing a deep dive into your own self-discovery. Where am I at now? Then comes the second step, your vision. Where do I want to be? And number three is plan it, right? Everything needs a strategy. And you're not going to take that first step, which is your fourth one. You have to implement, you have to take action if you don't know where you're going. And the fifth one is when we get feedback and we reflect on what's working and what's not. And because I love entrepreneurship, I always love putting my business into my personal life. So I think that's what really makes me unique.
Now, when you say putting your business in your personal life, for example, what's that look like?
So, a business plan, if you wanted to start a business, right, or whether you want to do a startup, the first thing you need is a business plan. And so, in life, the first thing you need is a life plan, your next steps plan. And you really need to learn how to practice adaptability because everything is changing. Even as we're having this conversation today, look at how technology is evolving. And so you really need not only to build, resilience, but you really need to learn how to adapt. Otherwise, you become unrelevant in life and in business.
A life plan. Imagine that. How many years ago did you develop your life plan? Because number one, most people don't know what that is, so we should talk about what that is. And then most people they get sidelined by thinking they're not doing it right. They think that it's too late to do it for them. My take on that is it's never too late to have a plan. One of my favorite quotes is, "Failing to plan is planning to fail." And so, two questions there. How long ago did you, really see the importance of developing a life plan, and what would that consist of?
So, and I just did a podcast episode because I do host milestone moments in business and leadership. And I'm calling it my next steps plan right now because I normally do it on my birthday. Every year on my birthday, I get that itch, that sense of renewal. Am I doing what I was setting out to be? Now, this was part of a capstone project as well that I did when I was earning my master's degree. And so right now, I am entering my next phase in life. As that mother, I have self identified as mother first, whether I was a manufacturer, a retailer, a developer. It was always about incorporating, my kids and being a mother first. And my youngest right now just got accepted to college. My middle child is earning her PhD in science. She went straight out of aerospace physiology in a biology. I don't understand science like she does. And my eldest is working with my husband in the manufacturing company here. So I'm implementing it. This is called Build in Public. I am still working on that. And so I am differentiating my tech services from my own personal brand. And that is where the 5 milestones framework is getting put into place.
That is
And
fantastic, amazing, amazing. What would you say to people that think that, look, I am in my 50s or 60s, or I'm in retirement? What would you say to them when they think it's too late, to build this life plan, this business plan for life that you're talking about?
well, in today's episode that aired on my podcast, I even shared some statistics that the Kauffman Foundation showed that women over 55 are, after their careers, they tend to go into entrepreneurship. I also shared on Twitter and I replied to one of the younger entrepreneurs that we find in this platform saying that if you haven't done it by 30, like it's too late. And I was just like, oh my God, I know exactly where I'm getting the data. And I mean, like I ought to retweet it, but I provided data from SBA and a few different sources because if you do look into the data, at 50, you've got experience, you have that wisdom, whatever career you've built. You have more connections, probably double than you did at 30. And you're most probably in a much better financial position than you were in your 30s. So I hope that answers your question.
It does.
It
It
is,
does.
thank you.
I think there's so many examples of continuing incremental improvement throughout your life. One of the stories that really inspires me is actually from the Old Testament story about Moses, where Moses really didn't do a whole lot. You know, he was just kind of entitled until he was age 40, and then when he was age 40, he had a bit of an awakening, and spent the next 40 years just kind of wandering, and he really didn't turn into a leader until he was in his 80s. You know, now imagine that. Didn't turn into a leader until he was in his 80s. And so the only thing that makes it too late, I think, is you're thinking that it's too late. Otherwise, it is not too late. Of those 5 leadership milestones, what are one or two of those that you find are most difficult for people, that really trip people up the most? And for the audience listening, thank you guys for being here. We've got nearly about 200 people, and thank you so much for being here. Take a look at Sheila's podcast. Take a look at Sheila's account on X. We're streaming right now to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, my Mindset Masterclass. You guys come over, join the Masterclass, school.com/mindset. School is spelled SKOOL, school.com/mindset. And drop your thoughts in the chat. Richard, my friend, thank you for the mic check warning there. I know my mic might have been not very optimized, but thank you for guys like Richard, friends like Richard, that'll let me know about that. But if you have questions for Sheila, drop those in the chat. I'll bring those on the screen. I know she would love to answer your questions. Thank you for all the thumbs up and everything. But back to the question, Sheila, what are a couple of those milestones that you think that people have the most problems with?
Well, the very first one, that self discovery, taking that time to actually have a structured process to be able to reflect. Because, you can do it in 5 minutes, you can do it in 15 minutes, but to really do a digging deep and a deep dive, if you're looking to make a major change, if you're looking, for that new career rather than just jumping into the next one, you really want to make sure that you're looking for your strengths, that you take a few assessments that perhaps will show things from different perspectives, to reevaluate those core values because they change, everything changes. And so if you're not in tune with yourself at the moment, then you don't know what you can change. And it's so easy to live day to day and practice that self care. Now, imagine taking that time to sit down and do that deep dive. And the second one would then be, well, how do I get there? Yesterday in the episode, I absolutely love what she said. And it was, you need community, you need support. Because sometimes by having someone that you can bounce back your ideas to, you're actually, voicing out what you're thinking, what you're wanting, what you're needing. With my own sister, I think we had a conversation maybe about 90 minutes, and I said absolutely nothing. It had nothing to do with business. And we finished. She's like, oh my gosh, talking to you was better than talking to my counselor. And I just thought, but I haven't even talked. All I did was listen. And she vented. So a lot of times people don't have just a place or a person that they can, vent that out. And if you are trying to transition into something new, what a better way to have a mentor that can save you a lot of that guesswork. yesterday I learned how to go from podcast to having your own channel pretty much.
Yeah, good for you. Congratulations. Congratulations. Torsum, thank you so much. We have some great questions here. Torsum's asking, what were some of the hardest challenges you personally faced? And so if you don't mind sharing that, he asked for 5, but maybe just 1 or 2. What are some of the hardest challenges that you faced?
Well, I can give perhaps 3 examples. Number 1, when I decided that we wanted to move overseas because there was opportunity, we made a business plan and it all looked great in paper. And we were going to be doing really well after 3 months. It was 3 years later before we broke even. So, lesson number 1 is learn that not everything goes as planned, but if you stick to it and you keep tweaking that, you can make it happen. That company's 30 years old right now. Number 2 is get out of your comfort zone. When I talked about entering this university where they're talking words I had never heard, like hackathon and NASA space apps, and I had no idea. If you would have said that I would have learned how to not only code at 36 as a mom through the internet at that time and then have a software development company, I'd be like, huh? So never be afraid to, try. Like I had told my kids, you can't fail if you don't try. And in this stage in life, that the best is yet to come. And not only is it never too late, what you need to do is just make sure that you're taking that time to build, that life plan because it's always okay, to pivot. And AI is going to do a lot of pivoting for a lot of people. So there are many opportunities. When one door closes, another one opens. So don't be afraid to pivot.
Absolutely. Torsum says, wow, coding at 36, amazing. Yeah, mom coders unite. And Torsum also says in the chat there with the kids, salute to the mothers of the world. Yeah, moms make the world go round, So as I always say, be unstoppable. And we have another comment from Jeremy, and I really love this one. About the blindness of perspective. Perspective bias is difficult to identify. And that's the beauty of having a community, guys, is have a circle of people that you give them permission to just be honest with you. And when they're honest with you, don't make them pay for it, right? You should pay them for that. But often when people are honest with us, we make them pay for it by shunning them or criticizing them. Listen, if you don't want to critique, don't ask for people's opinion. That's just acting in bad faith. I have people that pay me to tell them hard things. And if I'm not telling them hard things, if I'm just giving them a mental massage, I am stealing their money. I am not earning my money. They pay me to tell them things that no one else, including their family, will tell them. And so have a group of people and don't punish them for sharing their perspective. Think of it this way. It's almost as if you ask them, what does this food taste like in their mouth? Well, it's just how it tastes in their brain. People's perspective, people's opinion, once shared, is them saying, hey, I don't know, but this is how this thing tastes in my brain. And it's just information. And it's often useful information. Not all of it, but are you better off knowing about the termites in the walls of your home? Or is ignorance truly bliss? That river in Egypt, denial. And I think that you're better off having this information. Well, guys, we are running out of time here, so thank you so much for joining. We've got about 250 people in the show today. Thank you, guys. Take a look at Sheila's account. She does all kinds of wonderful things. This is one of my favorite interviews ever. She's so full of knowledge. But Sheila, let's kind of get personal with the audience just in this quick shot thing, just a 2 to 3 second answer. Looking back on your career at your younger self, what's something that you had most wrong about business and success?
That it happens overnight.
Absolutely. And success is built slow, not quickly. If you think someone built success quickly, you're missing all their backstory. Number 2, what's one of your current biggest mindset struggles? Because we all have them.
So right now is defining how I'm going to build my community, because I'm starting with a workshop. I'm going to do a post that perhaps you can retweet. And it's a workshop in April, and I'm calling it Spring Renewal, Your Next Chapter. The
I
entire
love it
purpose of that,
already.
it's free. I have nothing to sell. I just want to meet other people that perhaps by taking 1 hour out of their time and we unite, I'll see what their needs are, how we can continue being connected. So for me, it's almost like research. It's free. There's no course to be bought, nothing. I need to just build that community. So I'm struggling with, where do I want to go with this? I know what I don't want. So
That's awesome. And my final question here before we get to that affirmation to leave your audience with is what's your current top, best, most recommended mindset hack?
always look for opportunity in problems all the
Oh, I
time.
love that so much.
I'm
Yeah, and
just
you know,
doing that.
I found that you can't do that as long as you're catastrophizing the problem, guys. If you take nothing else away from this, and Torsom had a great take on this. He said the lesson for the day is to believe in yourself, absolutely, but then also in that, believe in your ability to tackle problems that come your way. When you look at a problem, you're going to have a negativity bias. You're going to say to yourself, I can't handle it, I can't take it. Look, that's normal. Don't beat yourself up over that. But after that initial 3 to 5 seconds, reset, say to yourself, enough of this, and believe that you have what it takes to address and to solve the problem. It may not be how Sheila would solve it because Sheila's not there. It may not be how I would solve it. I'm not there either. But solve it the best way you can solve it. Movement is always better than freezing in place. Give yourself a moment, think about it, and then believe in your ability to solve the problem. Just one real quick thing is I will have a problem to address, and I'll be okay with thinking about it because I know while I'm making my bed, making my coffee, brush my teeth, whatever, my brain is still working on the problem. Sometimes it takes a bit for your brain to sort through options to solve these problems. Well, Sheila, thank you so much. Tell folks how they can get in touch with you and look at all the great work that you do.
So my name is Sheila, Sheila, Slick, Slick. You can find me on social media with that handle, SheilaSlick.com as well. And I'll make sure that I tag you on my tweet or on my post so that I can connect with your audience. And thank you.
That's got to be one of the most marketable names ever. I did a double take and I thought, did I get that right? Sheila Slick, wow, that's amazing. You guys take a look, repost what she's doing there. And finally, what kind of affirmation might you leave your audience with? Something to kind of take them into the weekend, get them pumped up.
Think about what you want out of life. And it's a great time. Spring is coming up, whether you join the workshop or not. And think about, am I where I want to be today?
Awesome. Guys, it's time for some spring cleaning. Clear out the cobwebs. Get out there. Believe in yourself. As Larry the Cable Guy would say, get it done. Sheila, thank you so much for being here today. I definitely appreciate it. And guys, we will be back next Friday with another wonderful guest on Executive Espresso. Before that, we'll be back on Monday for Monday Mindset Mojo. We got to have Sheila on Monday Mindset Mojo. But Monday Mindset Mojo is a long-form podcast. That's from 7 a.m. Central, Memphis, Tennessee time until 8:30. We have a panel, so you guys join us then. If you want to be on the show, you got a story to tell, reach out, let me know. Go check out the masterclass, school.com/mindset. School is spelled SKOOL. If you want to sign up for my newsletter, it is drheath.substack.com. Dr. Heath, just like the candy bar, that's right. drheath.substack.com. Sheila, thanks again. Guys, thank you for being here. We've got nearly 300 people here. Thank you for joining, and we'll catch you next time. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye now.